What's up YouTube, and welcome
to New Clips.
Today's video is going to be about these bad boys, LEDs. If you're a maker, or even if you just want to decorate something around the house with some lights, this video is for you. You've heard of LEDs, right? Your TV is probably backlit by LEDs. You've seen LED flashlights. Practically everything with a small light on it today is an LED. But what exactly is an LED? LED stands for light-emitting diode. A diode is essentially an electronic component with two terminals. It only allows the current to go in one direction, so you do have to make sure your leads are in the correct position. Typically, the longer lead is going to be your positive and the shorter is going to be your negative. There's actually another way to tell, and that is this little thing right here. It might be hard to see. Camera, see if I can focus here. Yeah. It's kind of squared off right there. That's a way of telling the negative lead, apart from one being longer or shorter, but let's just pretend that something gets cut, or maybe they came. I'm not exactly sure of any LEDs that come with the same length leads, but it could happen. That's another way to be able to tell. I was going to do this video on a breadboard, but I'm not sure if everyone understands the general way a breadboard works, so I don't want to solder. I'm really just going to hand twist it. But if you want a finished product, more of a permanent thing, you do want to solder everything together. Now that you know what LED stands for and just a little bit about it, we can start talking about the wiring. You need to know a few things before you begin. First, you're going to need to know the voltage of everything that you're working with. Your power supply and your LEDs. Now, these are rated as 3 volts. Unfortunately, I have done a test and I would disagree with that. Some of them require a little bit less, some of them require a little bit more. You could get away with not really shorting any of them out with 3 volts, but I wouldn't recommend it. Usually voltage is determined by color and brightness and quite a few other things. So typically you wouldn't find all the colors the same voltage. But if you go into your general Radio Shack, if it says a certain voltage on there, you know it's probably accurate. It can change. It can range quite a bit. 1 volt, these, like I said, are 3 volts. But then you also have your amps, or your current. Now back to voltage. This is going to be our power supply. Obviously it's 4 AA batteries. And a little bit of a misconception is that whenever you start learning about electronics and how electricity works, different things like that, you would think AAA battery would probably be less voltage, and C battery would be a little bit more, and D battery might be a little bit more than that. But actually, voltage-wise, they're all the same, except, of course, for 9 volt, but that's why it's in the name. That's 9 volts. Your typical battery, AA, AAA, C, D, are going to be 1.5 volts, not including your rechargeable batteries. Those are a little bit less voltage, but the difference between the different sizes is really just the juice they have, how long they're going to last. So each one of these batteries are 1.5 volts, so obviously you want to add them up because we're using all of these batteries, and that's going to end up being 6 volts. Now, if I were to take this 6 volt battery pack and put it into a 3 volt LED, it's going to kill it. So don't do that. So you're probably wondering, well, then how in the world are we going to make this work? Well, that's where this comes in. It's called a resistor. Basically, well, it does exactly what it sounds like it does. It resists the current to get what you need out of it. For example, if you need 1 volt from, say, 3 volts of power, it can help you reduce it to meet the requirements. Now, we actually do have to do a little bit of math. Don't leave. It's okay. It's very simple algebra, and I mean it. I don't mean very simple algebra like your college algebra teacher would like to tell you and it kind of freaks you out. No, this is very, very, very basic. Resistors are measured in something called ohms. We have to use a formula called Ohm's Law, go figure, to figure out exactly how many ohms we need to take 6 volts and turn it into 3 volts. We're going to be using the formula R equals V divided by I. Of course, this is algebra, so you can move it around to figure out anything else you want. For example, if you know the resistor value you're going to use and you just need to know the volts, you can switch it around to be V equals and figure that out that way. Now, V is for the amount of volts you want to resist, which in this case is 3 volts. I is for the amps in the LED, and R is the value we're trying to obtain for the resistor in ohms. So in this case, V equals 3 and I equals 0.02. Wait, you say 0.02, but you told me these were 20. This is milliamps. I is rated in amps in this formula. So to make milliamps amps, we're going to need to make it 0.02, which equates to 20 milliamps. So we do 3 divided by 0.02, and what does that give us? Okay, I'll tell you. 150. This is the ohm resistor we need. This right here is a 150 ohm resistor. And this is the one that's going to get us from 6 volts to 3 volts. Okay, now comes the fun part. Let's actually take one of these LEDs out. This video, I'm just wanting to show you a single LED. I'm going to be doing another video on wiring multiple LEDs just because there's a couple different ways of doing that. So, see if I can work around this camera. And once again, you can see right here, well, you might not be able to see, but this right here is going to be the negative because it has this little indentation right here. When you've bent them out, it is kind of sometimes hard to tell which one's the longer one, which one's the shorter one. So, what we're going to do is, first, I'm actually going to take our positive, which is red. Typically in any generic sense, red's always positive, black is negative. I mean, you could essentially change them around if you wanted to in your build, but don't want to confuse yourself. So, we're going to take the positive, going to try and, like I said, I'm just bending this. If you want more of a permanent solution, definitely use soldering iron. Okay. Now, watch the magic. Not bad. It's actually really bright. It looks very blue from my end. I do understand it's more whited out on your end, but it is quite blue here. Really bright. So that is it. That is how you figure out to wire your LED. Hope you guys liked the video. If you do, please subscribe. Like I said, I'm going to do another video on multiple LEDs. And have a great day.